Is Teofimo Lopez deserving of a world title shot? Is he ready for a world title shot? Well, if he's ready, that's going to be seen on fight night. Is he deserving of a title shot? I mean, the man is 12 and 0, 10 KOs. He's looked spectacular in all his fights that I've seen. But unfortunately, he doesn't have no names on his resume. I think the best names he has is Diego Magdaleno and what's the guy from Louisiana's name? Not Devin Haney. Devin Haney fought him. Mason Menard. Mason Menard. All right. Those are two best names on the man Teofimo Lopez resume. Well, Teofimo Lopez has been adamant that he wants a world title shot. He been trying to get what's up, main boxing biker? Main boxing biker in the chat. What's good, son? Chillin', man. The man Teofimo Lopez says, man, he'd like to fight either. He's mostly been talking about Lomachenko. You know what I mean? But Lomachenko has made it. He's let the world know that, hey, man, I'm not fighting this guy Teofimo Lopez until he gets a world title. You know what I mean? Those are stall and delay tactics. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, boxing biker in the chat says Teo calling for that Loma smoke. He seems ready. Yeah, he seems ready, man. You know what I mean? He seems ready, but he's even said he wants to fight horrible Mikey Garcia. He calls him horrible from the way Mikey Garcia displayed for whatever Mikey Garcia brought to the table versus what's the guy's name? Errol Spence. You know what I mean? According to Teofimo Lopez, he says the man Mikey did nothing. He looked horrible in there. He couldn't pull the trigger, and hey, sometimes the truth hurts. I can't even be mad at him because he's definitely not lying. You know what I mean? But the man Teofimo Lopez has been active. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be fighting on Bud Crawford's undercard versus a guy from Finland named Edis Tatley, 31 and 2. Now, that particular fight, up to now, it could be upgraded to an IBF eliminator, you know what I mean? To fight the man, the IBF champion, Richard Comey from Ghana. But I can guarantee you this. Richard Comey ain't gonna want to get in there with the man Teofimo Lopez. Not because he's scared of the man. The man, Richard Comey would rather have the fight versus Lomachenko. That's a unification. That's a money on the table. You know what I mean? More money than he would get fighting the man Teofimo Lopez. You know what I mean? But Teofimo Lopez, he's ranked in the top. He's ranked in the top 4 or 5 in every sanctioning body. I think he's like number 4 in the WBC, IBF, and WBA, and number 5 with the WBO. You know what I mean? So, the man definitely is ranked up there. But Teofimo Lopez says he's not gonna stick around at 135 for too long. You know what I mean? I'm gonna read you some quotes what he says about probably potentially moving up to the 140. He says, "quote Let's say if I fight for the world title in July, then I will defend it in December and move up. It is getting there. It is not hard, but I know that just a little slight mistake on my weight and it'll be hard. Meaning, if I get carried away a little bit when I'm not training or fighting, that is what I have to be on the that is what I have to be strict about. Right now, we are maintaining weight and keeping focus. That is really it. I really have to maintain. My body is going and ready to go to 140, and I have to keep it down a couple more months. I've been telling everybody. I told Bob and I told everybody that if they want to push the fight with Vasyl Lomachenko the next year, I'm going to say it like this. I gave them this whole year. If they don't want to push it to March, I'm not taking the fight. I'm not going to wait that long. We could fight, but it would be at a catch weight. I'm not going to wait at 135. Um, End quote. So the man Teofimo Lopez, man, looks like it's getting harder and harder to make get down to 135, which he is a massive dude at 135. You know what I mean? You check it, but a lot of people think that the man isn't deserving of a world title shot. And recently, I've been hearing a lot of people talk about who they think is deserving of a world title shot and who isn't deserving of a world title shot. Like a guy like Dillian White, I think he deserves a world title shot. No question about it. He deserves a world title shot before guys like Big Baby Miller. You know what I mean? It's funny how nobody is saying Big Baby Miller doesn't deserve a title shot, and he ain't put in the work like Dillian White. You know what I'm saying? Now this guy Teofimo Lopez, he hasn't done the heavy lifting like a man like Dillian White at the heavyweight division. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, this guy's an up and coming fighter. You know what I'm saying? And I understand where Lomachenko's coming from, talking about the man has to get a belt before he fights him. Well, those are just tactics, in my opinion, to stall the inevitable. I'm not saying that the man Teofimo Lopez can and will beat the man Lomachenko, but it's boxing. Anything could happen. But at the end of the day, that's stalling the man Teofimo Lopez. These guys who want their title shots early. Hey, look, Lomachenko got a world title shot in his second fight. You ain't heard Orlando Salido talking about I'm not fighting him till he goes to get a belt. You know what I mean? Orlando Salido did what he had to do. Got in the ring with this guy. It's even better. You see, it worked in the man Salido's advantage. It's better to get these guys while they're not so much experienced in big world title fights on, world class fights before they get better in their careers. You know what I mean? Because any and anybody could take a loss early in their career and then they can come back. Minor setback for a major comeback to come back and achieve world title status. You know what I mean? Main boxing bike in the chat says Loma looked looked shaky against Pedraza, so who knows? Loma might be on the downslide. I agree, and that's probably why the man Teofimo Lopez wants to get in the ring with him. You know what I mean? Because he did look vulnerable actually in his last couple fights. Like I said before, I had him losing by the time of the stoppage to by a point or two. It wasn't no wide margin, but he was down on my card by the time he stopped Linares. You know what I mean? Main boxing biker says Leo Loma versus Teofimo would be a great fight. Battle of the flippers. They both be doing backflips in the ring. Yes, they do. True indeed. Them fellas both athletic, be doing vicious backflips. Anthony Purvis says, "What's good, B? What's happening, Anthony Purvis? Chilling, man. Just talking about these people talking about who deserves a title and who doesn't. Like I said, if I was Lomachenko, I'd try to get in the ring with Teofimo Lopez right now with 12-0 and 10 KOs. But then again, that's almost about the same. Lomachenko doesn't have that many fights in his career. You know what I mean? So, as far as professional level, they're almost at the same pace. You know what I mean? It's just that Lomachenko has just fought a better competition. You know what I mean? Especially, in his last two fights. But like I said, Richard Comey more than likely won't be trying to take that Teofimo Lopez fight. You know what I mean? High risk, low reward. And I'm not mad at him. He achieved his world title when he fought that guy who was 13-0. The fight only went 2 rounds, but it was action packed. Both guys got hurt in them 2 rounds, and they got it in. You know what I mean? Eventually, the dude I can't even remember his name got stopped by Comey. But then deserving is something that um, a lot of these boxing fans they be taking that word to the next level because they don't criticize the guys who do get world title shots. They just let it slide. But the guys who actually have worked themselves into mandatory status or have beaten better competition, they're not giving these guys they just do. Like a guy like Dillian White, like I said, people are saying he doesn't deserve a world title shot. He turned down um, opportunity to fight Brazil so he can get a mandatory shot to fight Wilder. And also they talking about he turned down money whatever he was offered by Eddie Hearn in Matchroom to fight the man Anthony Joshua. But at the end of the day, Dylan White said it himself. I'm not gonna take a fight with him if in the rematch. I'm still gonna be the B side if I do win the title off of Anthony Joshua. And that actually, that's how it should be in boxing. You know what I mean? Look, I mean, can't even give the example of a guy like Floyd Mayweather. Okay, like Floyd Mayweather did have rematches twice, Castillo, and let's talk about the Maidana rematch. So what? Maidana didn't win the fight. We can't even really use that example because Floyd Mayweather never lost a fight. Now he has to come in trying to reclaim back his titles. You know what I'm saying? You check it. So unless you're on that type of status, then I think it's only right, that in the rematch, the loser is the B side. You know what I mean? Another guy is Jamel Charlo, a guy who's worked himself in the mandatory position with the WBC. A guy who was supposed to fight the likes of Triple G has been the interim champion. How long does a guy have to wait? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of if you thought he fought some good fighters since he turned became a middleweight. Who has he fought? Hugo Centeno Jr., Matt Korobov, and he didn't look good in the Matt Korobov fight. You know what I mean? Some people even had him losing. My point is, if this guy's not that good to you guys, you know what I mean? If he's not that good and he's some garbage and he don't deserve the fight, he's fought nobody, then how comes Triple G and Canoli are reluctant to get into the ring with the guy? You know what I'm saying? How comes these guys are reluctant? Why did Canelo fight the guy Rocky Felding? Did Rocky Felding deserve a Canelo shot? Or is it up to these guys to just pick and choose who they want to fight? You know what I mean? It's a lot of double standards and hypocrisy when it comes to what people really want in boxing and who they think deserves a title shot. Now, a guy like Danny Jacobs has done the heavy lifting as far as, achieving his world title, you know what I mean? For the vacant IBF title at middleweight. And really and truly, hey man, I thought Danny Jacobs won that fight 7 rounds to 5. But he looked vulnerable. He didn't look that good in that fight. Really and truly, Danny Jacobs, even the other fight he had versus Sulecki, that the Polish guy. Danny Jacobs, man, really and truly, I think on my card, I think I had it 7-5. And that knockdown was critical in the 12th round, you know what I mean? Because Danny Jacobs, up until till that point, was struggling with the Polish guy, Sulecki, you know what I'm saying? And I like Danny Jacobs, you know what I mean? He's a good guy. I thought he beat Triple G. I'm happy he got the title shot to fight Canelo, but at the end of the day, he's unifying, you know what I'm saying? So he's in position. He worked himself into position to get the Canelo fight. And I believe Jamel Charlo has too, you know what I mean? Whether I like the guy or not, never been high on the guy. I thought Austin Trout beat him at 154. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the guy has worked himself into the mandatory position. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear anybody else crying about guys who work themselves into the mandatory position and they get beat up and they ride off into the sunset and we never hear of them again. You know what I mean? You can't. People are just being selective with the guys they like and whom they don't like. Like I said, if Jamel Charlo was easy work, has looked like some garbage at 160, beat nobody, then how comes Triple G didn't get in the ring with the guy? How comes Canelo has still not given this guy his mandatory shot? You know what I mean? These guys are garbage. Get them out the way. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of hypocrisy and double standards. Like Triple G and Canelo, they don't need to fight the guy because the guy hasn't done anything. Well, a lot of guys, these fighters be fighting like Vanes Rosen and the likes and Rocky Field, and they ain't done nothing neither. But they were so fortunate to get the title shot against these guys. Don't make sense, but hey,